Welcome to our first pod in almost a month after I enjoyed a little break to the States to celebrate turning 40. I am joined, as ever, by my IQ-impaired sibling, and for the second time in a row, our studio professional, Mark Sadler. Welcome back, gents. What's been happening whilst we've been away? I think Mark's had a little round of golf today, I believe.
I did. I just squeezed into the Deer Park Masters, so I'll be playing, hopefully pipping Iain later in the year. That's the goal.
Well, at least you qualify on merit and you don't have to rely on sponsor exemptions like Iain does.
As I said, host professional Bob has its perks.
So who's been playing golf, folks? We've been away. I managed to get one round of golf in. It's second time of asking out in the States. Went over there and managed to turn up on the wrong day for my booking. Just as two experienced tea time managers that you have been in the past. Is that a common mistake or is it just a unique, idiotic move by me?
Bob knows best. Obviously not. I've had it a few times actually.
Yeah,
the funniest, I've had a couple of good ones. There's a Deer Park Golf and Country Club in Ireland. I've had a few times, and I had a boy. This is a true story. Boy phoned up maybe 6 weeks ago. He's in the car with his pals, and they're going a strong Irish accent. He's going, "Oh fucking hell, mate! I've just booked the fucking wrong Deer Park." His pals are giving him an absolute stinking in the car.
But funny story, bad accent.
To be sure.
I was, me and the old man were due to play Celebration. Cracking, lovely course actually, phenomenal houses around it, and thought I'd booked it for Friday the 9th. Turns out I'd booked it for Thursday the 8th. So,
well done.
Anyway, there we go. You had any golf, Iain?
Yep, I've just been touring the UK's top 100 golf courses the last couple of weeks. Managed to get a sneaky invite down to Muirfield. Thank you, Stuart McBride, for withdrawing to go watch a terrible band. That was excellent. We had a wonderful evening at Muirfield, and then sneaked down to Loch Lomond yesterday. So yes,
Tell you what,
good times.
How the other half play? What were you, Mark?
I've just played a few tournaments. I played I think Balmore since we spoke, which I did well in. Got a top 5 in an order of merit, and then
we paycheck.
We paycheck, and then lost Mouth as well, which was firm and fast. And the rough and Ghost came into play too quickly.
How's the ears after the jets flying over with 4 seconds?
Yeah, struggling a little. They're pretty impressive. They just go vertically and they chase each other.
I think we played that in 1997 on a family tour up there. And you're right, the jets are pretty prominent. Although I was a member, and I use the inverted kind of brackets there, member of the Napier golf team, where my dues helped fund their trip up there for one of the tournaments. And I still feel quite embittered about that, actually, that all I did was contribute to their jollies.
Yeah,
anyway,
I played Lossy about 12 years ago in a Europro event. Shared the urinals with one of Pidge's favourites as John E. Morgan was up doing a bit of commentary that weekend.
Highlight of your career.
That was
certainly the highlight of your Europro career anyway, sharing a toilet urinal with John E. Morgan.
Going full shaky shake with John E.
Dear. Bit of cross swords. Right, well, I'm going to start this podcast with a warning, because I think if anybody's coming to this for well-informed discourse on the US Open, then I think you've joined the wrong podcast. I'd probably recommend going to the Fried Egg for some interesting debate. But if you'd like to talk or listen to us debate anyway around whether you can interpret a compass on Sky, or maybe how many golf balls does Lionel Ritchies' hedge get each year, then stick with us, because I think that's probably the extent of the intelligent conversation we're about to have. So let's get going. 29-year-old Wyndham Clark won the 123rd edition of the US Open, played at LA Country Club, beating Rory McIlroy by a single shot to claim his second professional win of his career, but really his second win in 6 weeks. It's a course that hasn't been without its critics. So let me start Who of us wins the award for staying up the latest on Sunday? What was everybody's bedtime?
Yeah, I think I managed 11 o'clock.
Oh, that's child's play. My soon-to-be 3-year-old was up as late as that.
I did watch until the 18th.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
What a
Only on the
dedication to
Sun-
this
only
pod.
on the
This is
Sun-
because you knew you were coming on, Mark. Dedication.
Yeah,
Absolute
no.
dedication.
Only on the Sunday, but yeah, I managed to stay up. It was also earlier on the Sunday, so
Nah, they pulled forward the tea times, what, about an hour and a half?
yeah.
Wow.
After
Okay,
an
so at least somebody
unbelievable
saw.
decision on Saturday.
At least somebody saw the back nine. I got to, I think it was about 1:45 in the morning, just around the, feel like the last group were maybe on the 8th or something, 9th maybe, I think. Felt like around that. So, Mark, you win the award. That's a great accomplishment. So what time did you turn in for the night?
I think it was about, I'm not quite sure, maybe about 3 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah, but I surprised myself because I'm one of the first people who say Rory will maybe never win a major, or definitely not the Masters anyway. And I just got really into him being in contention and actually having a chance rather than a backdoor top 10 at a major. So yeah, that I got carried away.
Well, we'll come on to that in a bit. So let's start with some overall thoughts on the US Open. But before you both answer that, I know Puds is a firm fan's favourite on the show, and because he can't join us, he gave us his thoughts via WhatsApp. So I am literally reading this out to everybody. This was Puds' views of the weekend. He said, "I watched very little of the weekend's play due to the stupid tee times, terrible course choice, and rubbish crowds that let another clone win." So
there's some
who
valid
agrees
points
with
in there.
Puds's sentiment then, as we start off?
I think he's got a few valid ones in there. I mean, the first problem is we can't really change the time zones. There's not really a lot we can do about that. They did make an arse of it on the Saturday, though, with the tea times, that's for sure. For the US Open, I would probably say the crowds is as bad as I've seen. The stuff that's came out about who took the tickets and, you know, blaming infrastructure, that bewildering. Like a lack of atmosphere. They showed a picture, I think it was Fowler on Friday, the Saturday. There was like 4 man and a sheep watching him. Strange. Very kind of strange, disappointing, because I don't think they've really, I mean, it's the first time obviously LA Country Club's hosted the US Open, so you thought it would have been a bit more of a, I don't know, a spectacle in terms of atmosphere, but yeah, Pudge is very valid on that one.
I agree.
How do you sum it, Mark, as the only one that actually saw it to its conclusion?
No, I completely agree on the crowd front. It was the dreadful atmosphere, and the only time I noticed the crowd was on 18 when they all got let in and kind of almost ran onto the green, kind of Tiger-esque at Eastlake, sorry. But I thought the course was interesting. I think with us being sold on the US Open as a difficult test where level par is a good score, I thought they didn't set it up that well. I don't know whether they could have got a fair test with a lower score. But I like that you had long hitters and short hitters doing well. It suited every player, and I think that was because the fairways were wide and it wasn't too long. So there were some things that I liked, and a lot of not so good as well.
Mark, you're in danger of turning this into almost an educated conversation, so let's rein it back a little bit here. I think let's quick summary. So top 3 players: Wyndham Clark, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, all finished Sunday on even par. Only player actually in the top 8 in the end that was over par was poor old Ricky Fowler. But thoughts on the return of Ricky Fowler?
Who's that? Is that anyone, or was that
just an open conversation there? If anybody's got any views on the return of Ricky Fowler, a very likeable player, I would suggest, who's battled his way back. His wait for a major win continues. 47 events in a major and counting. probably somebody who's underachieved, I would suggest, with only 5 PGA Tour wins to his name. But very much unravelled for him on the Sunday. Statistically, it would show that his putter was outperforming him in the first 3 days and actually probably wasn't sustainable. And I think possibly may well have been masking a few of the issues that probably surfaced a little bit on Sunday. But yeah, as much as Wyndham Clark held his nerve, played very well, I think it's also fair to say that Ricky, unfortunately, at 5 over, kind of chucked it a bit in terms of even giving himself a look from the very first hole.
Yeah, to be fair to Ricky, he's had a wee bit of revival the last, what would you say, 12 months. And really, he's kind of came back up the world rankings. Probably a personality the PGA Tour needs back out there after all the kind of live stuff. And the one thing the US Open did have in its favour was the quality of the leaderboard. There's a lot of good players up there. You know, you can't grudge it of being, a runaway winner, or it wasn't exciting. But no, I would concur. It was good to see Fowler back up there. Not sure I do like him with that kind of counterbalance long mid-length putter, but there's obviously method to it. But,
Only 3 amateurs finished the Sunday with a worse score than Ricky Fowler.
Well, how many amateurs were there? Was there in the last?
3 of them made the cut. Ben Carr, Aldrich, Portgeeter, Maxwell, Moldovan.
Is it too early to talk about the cupgate? Because that boy was robbed of a shot.
He was.
That was a shocker. That was an absolute shocker. But we can come on to that in a minute. Yeah, I did read an article that somebody had written suggesting that Ricky Fowler was undoubtedly one of the great players never to win a major. In fact, quite possibly the best player not to win a major. I did find myself sort of laughing at that slightly on the basis there's definitely 2 Europeans, I would suggest, could win that in their sleep with Monty and Westwood. So where does Ricky then stand in the all-time list of underachievers in majors?
Well, Monty leads the list.
Best player never to win a major is Monty, hands down.
Monty leads the list, but Ricky Fowler's a great player, and he definitely has underachieved, even when you look at the Walker Cup team he was in and everything he's done, and it is good to see him back, but I don't think he's close to Monty or Westwood.
No.
Yeah, I mean, people always say, he's underachieved, and the guy's a 5-time PGA Tour winner. He's won big events. He's won our, obviously, National Open down at Gullen, I think.
He did,
has he underachieved? I mean, he borderline swung it like a lavy chain when he was younger. He's had to try and remodel it a bit. He's certainly got the best out of probably not a natural looking golf swing. It's 100 times better now, and hence why he's starting to get back to that point. I think when he first met Butch, maybe 7-8 years ago, he tried to improve his golf swing. So I don't think you can say he's underachieved or best player not to win a major. I mean, God, he's not a prolific winner like the guys have just said there. I mean, guys, Westwood won 50 odd times worldwide.
Monty equally the same.
Plus, Fowler's still quite a young guy. What is he,
35, same as his same age as McIlroy, I think, 35, isn't he?
So, if he's starting to get a wee bit of form back, he's got the next 10 years to potentially win a couple. I would always fancy him as a chance round the links. He seems to has the kind of ball flight for it, so he's probably not a bad bet going into the Open in a couple of weeks' time.
Right. Well, we've spoken off about the guy who didn't turn up on Sunday. There was another guy though competing in the end, which you mentioned, Mark. For Rory, felt to me, looking at it, it was a little bit like the final round of last year's Open. I felt a wee bit too conservative, maybe finding himself without making enough, giving himself enough chances for makeable birdies. Certainly how I was seeing it in the front nine potentially. Rory's last 7 majors: 2nd, 8th, 5th, 3rd, miscut, 7th, 2nd, 6 top 8s in the last 7. Are we gearing up for a Rory Open win, or are you still sitting firmly on I don't think he's going to win anytime soon?
I don't think he's going to win anytime soon. I mean, I think it's mental, and it's just shown in his putting. He gains strokes around 2 strokes each day on Thursday and Friday, and then lost a couple of strokes on the greens on Saturday and Sunday, just when the pressure heated up. And yeah, it was like St Andrews last year, and I think he needs to have a talk with Nicholas and just learn something off him.
We'll not go actually into either the conversation that Iain likes to continually bring up, which is his caddy. But yeah, it felt like another replay of last year's Open Sunday for Rory.
Yeah.
Now, I won't go into my usual comment. However, he obviously doesn't have a fear factor amongst the guys that he's playing with, because they don't collapse around him like Woods would in his peak. The roars around him and guys would crumble. He doesn't seem to have that fear anymore. If you're talking maybe 10 years ago and you seen him on the leaderboard and he was bouncing about and and fair play to Wyndham Clark, he won the tournament. He held his nerve, and I haven't seen a huge amount of him, but after his first tee shot, he meant business. I think he knocked it down there about 365 off the tee. What nerves that? But McIlroy, I think we're probably going to look at the end of his career, a guy who should have been the most successful European player of all time, and he's not. And that 1% edge that he needs to win. I know I keep talking about his caddy, but you know what? That might be the 1%. Because he's missing something to get over the line, and it's not his ability.
So fine, because it's just like a lip in here or there, or and
it's not his ability. He hits it better than anyone. His pattern's always going to be a wee bit suspect, but there's 1% missing, and it's something. But I tell you, the one thing I'll finish on that he's done better this week is talking less about Liv. He done less with the press, and he focused more on his golf, and it showed.
Completely agree. Yeah, he was head down and a bit more focused, and that was much better. I like that too.
Well, he's off to Royal Liverpool in a few weeks' time, isn't he? Where his last major win in 2014 was. I was down there for that one myself. Well, we haven't really spoken about Wyndham Clark. Somebody who, 29, didn't realise he was as old as he was. I thought he was possibly a few years younger than that. But he's a big hitter. And he's pretty fearless, and 2 wins in the last six weeks, one of them being a major, is not to be sniffed at. It'd be interesting to see whether Wyndham kind of kicks on, and is he somebody that's going to be sat up there in that kind of elite circle of 4 or 5 players in the next year?
Don't see why not. He swings it good enough to, hits it miles, but they all do now, but to beat that field on a Sunday afternoon, I think probably the lack of atmosphere would have helped a wee bit, maybe calm the nerves, but there's no reason why he won't be hanging about. Absolutely no chance. That guy swings it as good as anyone out there.
Yeah, I agree. Right, well, that's probably as much real in-depth, serious conversation that we're going to have on the players, because I want to move on to a couple of topics that are probably more in keeping with how much I was actually able to watch the event. So now the course has had its criticism, but let's for me take a minute to, quite frankly, admire the outrageous properties that dotted around its perimeter. None more so than I think Lionel Ritchies' house, which I think I must have heard about 100 times on Thursday was his property. How many golf balls do you think he picks up a year from that hedge? Do you think he's got one of those clunk-click kind of collectors that he walks about with, or does he hire somebody?
Yeah, I don't think he picks up any balls.
How many balls could quite easily land in that garden? I could see myself a lot of high, skanky cut things that end up in there, no problem. He must be picking up at least 20, 30 balls a week from that position, surely.
And they're not your Slazenger or top.
No, well, this for me is the type of place that Puds would have relished just kind of popping his head into bushes. That's Lionel's properties where Puds wants to be hanging about. That he must be coining it in on those balls.
There was a Playboy Mansion kicking about the 8th tee or something as well.
Yeah, I think there was some noise coming from there in the final round.
There's
It
lots
was
of balls rocking
Greg
about
Norman's live party. That was what was going on over there. Greg had the live party going on.
there at Hef's place.
Now, it definitely was no doubt there was an incredible amount of overpriced real estate. But I thought I'd ask you both, just to put you on the spot now, what can you think of what course sticks out to you as having the most exclusive property real estate that you've played? I am putting you on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And just while you're thinking about that, so I played obviously nowhere near the same caliber, and indeed not even in the same kind of 10% bracket of pricing, but I was quite impressed with some of the houses around Celebration 2 weeks ago. Some really nice houses. I do remember playing Valdolobo with Puds a few years back, and there being some seriously big houses with one with what looked like a Russian security guard that was kind of parading the perimeter, which suggests somebody probably somebody with a bit of money that maybe wasn't quite legit was living there. Anything come to mind? Nothing that's going to match LA Country Club, but where's the place that sticks out as having the best real estate that you've played?
I mean, St George's Hill in Surrey. That's where all the Chelsea football players. That's where they all live. So
somebody like you on there?
Yeah. Played with a few good players there.
I would probably say Sunningdale.
Sunningdale too, yeah.
Or Wentworth. Wentworth was.
You played
There's
Wentworth?
a few. I've played one of the courses in
You
Wentworth.
played the little course side, didn't you?
I played the Edinburgh course. But some of the houses in there are like castles. But Bay Hill had a few good ones.
I did. I mean, yeah.
And that other course that we played, Swanee got us that deal on in Disney Place. I can't remember the name of it. There was some serious houses up there. Oh, what was that called again?
No, I don't know actually. We're probably going to go around in circles, but I thought I'd throw it out there given that there was some phenomenal houses there on show. So we go from excessive properties, and I'm going to keep with the LA Country Club theme here. So we go from excessive properties to excessive rules on property. It's been highlighted by quite a few outlets that some of the member guest rules that are available for viewing on the club website were perhaps a little bit of an insight to the culture of the club. And I'm going to take a wee second to read a few of these rules out for everybody. And by the way, if anybody wants to go and have a look at it, the content of their rules page for members guests is over 1,000 words. So when you've got to write a small essay to outline your expectations, you're probably not going to be very welcoming to many people. So let me read a few of these. And a lot of them are fairly, we've heard them here as well. No golf shorts, period. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I'm playing golf in that temperature, I'd quite like some shorts. Caps may be worn on uncovered patio areas only. So good thing for Puds when he's out there. That bald head needs looked after.
Excellent.
But not in the covered area, presumably. Sports coats are mandatory after 6 p.m. So I don't know what happens after 6 o'clock, but we've got to have our sports coats with us. For women, they've got to have the shirts and blouses must be worn inside slacks or skirts. So none of this untucked polo shirt nonsense here. Nope, not at all. Skirts are okay though, but no shorter than 4 inches above the knee. So I want to know whose job it is to check the old skirt length. Gets better than this.
No
Kids
minis.
under 7 years old must maintain, and I am reading this verbatim, a conservative and modest attire in keeping with the club's tradition. Okay, so anybody under 7 must have a wardrobe that meets the conservative and modest attire. So any of that, I don't know, Spider-Man t-shirts, they're out. They're not getting a look in. What if you're above 7? So if you're an 8-year-old, you have to, and this is, quote, same as mom and dad, which means after 6 o'clock, that 8-year-old better have brought a sports coat or he's not getting in.
What's a sports coat? What's the definition of a sports
just
coat?
a suit jacket, that doesn't necessarily sit with a suit. It's a kind of blazer type jacket. Next one. Loitering in the locker room, including card play, TV watching, drinking, whilst in shorts, but drinking with trousers would appear to be okay. T-shirts or denim pants of any colour is not permitted.
That's key.
And finally, the last one I'm going to read out, phone calls are only permitted from inside the car or designated phone booths.
That's
Do you
excellent.
think you'll be introducing any of them anytime soon around Deer Park, Iain? Any that catch your eye? Any you think could maybe just kind of lift the standards a little bit around?
I'm a big fan of the sports coats post 6 p.m. I think that's key. Keeping in tune with the Livingston area,
especially once you get over eight and over.
I mean, that's
exactly. We don't want any of that riffraff under the age of 8.
It's I get that sports going on like mom and pop from 8 p.m. I've had a few good ones over the years, but there's a few there's a few beauties. You know, golf's modernising.
Right, Jed. So tell me, what's the one club rule that you've came across that comes close?
I've had a few.
Like,
I've probably been extremely fortunate to play some seriously well-to-do places over the years. The Berkshire, we weren't allowed in the clubhouse unless I was invited in by a member. Bearing in mind,
to be fair, that should be standard for you wherever you go.
Muirfield, I wasn't allowed to take my jacket off inside.
Again, yeah.
The old usual kind of long socks if wearing shorts. That's probably about it, to be fair.
St. George's Hill, it's the same with the jacket. No, not St. George's Hill. Royal St. George's, it's the same with the jacket. And then I think it's Hunstanton, I think. Might be Brancaster. And it's only dogs, no women allowed in the clubhouse. Dogs, but no women allowed.
Wow. I mean, yeah, no comment. I played Ely. Obviously, you've got to have the long socks at Ely if you're going to dare go out in your shorts. But yeah, I thought that was some pretty special rules. I thought it was worth taking a bit of time to acknowledge just how absurd, quite frankly, some of the rules were. So from one absurd thing to another, did anybody happen to catch the special compass that was on the screen, which clearly was being broadcast through the host broadcaster on Sky Sports? Did anybody catch that on Sunday? And also the reign of confusion, which I think came from Nick Doherty as he tried to interpret.
He did quite well, I thought, yeah.
If it was after 11 p.m, then I have no idea what you're talking about.
So the basically,
fair, I think it's better than the what do they have that the drive score?
No, that thing's terrible.
That's horrendous. It's a lot better than that.
The compass meter.
Well, yeah, but there was a compass for every wind direction on each par 3, but it would change.
We're basically all at 90 degrees to each other. So this compass came on and started to identify every par 3 was going in a different 90-degree angle. And it wasn't even obvious as to what direction the compass was going. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And I don't think Sky Sports knew how to present it when it came up. But anyway, so the question I do have, going back to the course actually, because I did caveat at the start, there's not going to be a lot of well-informed conversation on this, but going into it, two of the talking points were largely the extremely long par 3s and the very short par 3. I think we end up with 3 hole-in-ones, or did I maybe miss a 4th? I think it was definitely 3 that I saw.
I think there were 3.
I don't think I've seen any.
Where do we stand on excessively long par 3 after seeing it, and excessively short par 3? Two extremes.
Well, the long par 3, what was that, 7 or 8 hole number?
There were a couple, yeah.
Well, it was 2 in the front 9.
Well, the one at 290 or whatever the hell it was, the hole before it was playing the same yardage as a par 4. Was it hole 6 and 7? So they were driving the 4.
Yeah, 6 was the risk and reward par 4.
So driving 6 were par 3. And then the next hole, they're standing there trying to rip a 3-wood on the par 3. Like, fucking bananas. I don't get it. these obscure, just long nonsense par threes are. There's no spectacle to that. Where is the fun in watching a guy trying to hit a 3-wood onto a par 3? How much more fun is the 81-yard hole?
Well, I don't know. Just play around the golf for your old man. He's hitting 3 woods at par 3s all the time.
Right, but these are not. I fear going to Merion and when's that, 2 or 3 years' time? They were the first ones to do it. I remember their boys hitting drivers into the par 3s.
They had over 300. Didn't they?
There's more people talk about the short par 3s. It's more fun. It's more. I despise long par 3s. I think as soon as you start putting timber in your hand on a par 3, and these are elite players, what is the fucking point?
Yeah, I'd agree. Over like 240, that's the limit really. But Rory did hit into one of the par 3s on Sunday, which was 295. He had a 4-iron, and to be fair, it was 60 feet downhill, downwind, and he only wanted to land at the front. But still, that was a bit of a spectacle.
Yeah, I do. What I am going to come on to though, and we'll move on just now, because one of the things I am going to come on to is what I thought was my shot of the week, which was at one of the long par 3s. So I did give you some homework, guys, to do some generally quick fire questions I'm going to ask just to kind of move us through it. So hopefully you've prepared or at least got some kind of semblance of an answer. So I'm going to start off, and Mark, you're going to lead us off, because I suspect you probably did more homework than Iain. Just generally because you couldn't have done any less homework than Iain. So I'm gonna start off with you. Moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
Come on, Mark, you've done all your homework.
That would be Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele shooting 62 within about 20 minutes of each other. Not really what you want at the US Open, but they did
impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, and they did beat everyone in their wave by 5 shots. Like the next person in the morning wave was 3 under, so they clearly did play some exceptional golf.
What were you, Iain?
Highlight of the week was Tommy Fleetwood shooting 63, and then an interview with Cara, I think it was Cara Banks or something. Try not to say in so many words that, yeah, it was piss easy. And it was quite a good interview, and 63 on a Sunday. He's the only person that shoot 263s, I think, on a Sunday in a major.
Yeah, that's right.
That's definitely a highlight of the week for me. Well,
I've got one that doesn't pertain to any scoring. It was Adam Hadwin having to go to the, did anybody see it? His club throw, which left him with a walk of shame. Walk of shame into the Boondy, having to go hunting for it himself. And if anybody's not seen it, it's on our Twitter feed. I thought, and the fact there was nobody else there near him, he was just kind of sauntering off into the Boondy to go and get his, I'm assuming his wedge. Right, Mark, next question. Who impressed you the most?
Who impressed me the most? That would definitely be Wyndham Clark. The way he handled himself, the way he handled the pressure. He's I love the story. He was outside the top 200 and thinking about quitting golf after his mom passed away. So it's the old comeback story, and definitely impressed me the most the way because normally you'll see someone like him in a major doing well, but normally they'll just fizzle away, and he didn't. He kept it going.
Yep, agree. Well, whilst Ian's just returning from topping up his, what are you on, Iain? Is that Jack Daniels?
Gentleman
Jack, okay, because it's the Tuesday drinking club's back. I did actually have a little beer myself. Who impressed you the most, Iain?
Well, Wyndham Clark, surely. I mean, being up there, the first one as a major, as I said, that was a good field at the weekend. Scheffler, McIlroy, 2 of the best players in the world are up competing against him and held his nerve. Let's say from his first tee shot, I found him mightily impressive. Knocking it 365 down the middle, and on he walked. Tremendous tremendous way to conduct yourself, and a big future ahead.
Well, I'm going to give you one that's a little bit less obvious, I think, but maybe not the most impressive by a long shot. But I have to admit, I am right now a big fan of Padraig Harrington, who at the end of Saturday, I think there was only 3 Europeans ahead of him on the leaderboard. Could be wrong. 4. We are seriously in danger of Padraig getting a pick for the Ryder Cup at current rate. I think he finished, in the end, 3 over on Sunday, finished 27th. But I don't know. That guy seems to be having some kind of resurgence, and I know he's put a lot of work in on his length. Swing speed and his length. But what is he? Just turned 50.
Do you know what? He's got that kind of Mickelson feel, that he's got one soiree still to come in him. It looks like almost he's got a Kiwa in him. He's
definitely.
It would not surprise you if he was up there to contend in another major, like Watson did or Norman did a few times at the Opens late on in their careers.
He's got a lot more length than any of those did at that age.
He's still knocking it.
At least 5 years to that.
He's got 180 mile an hour club, 180 mile an hour ball speed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, some of Padraig's stats right now are defying age. So anyway, that was my who continues to impress me. Probably not the most impressive player this week, but definitely impresses me. Who disappointed you?
No, JT by a mile.
He's
awful.
He's in a bad place. He could be in the same place as Boots by the sound of it.
Is this where we shout out your picks in the office pool? Yeah.
We'll come on to that because we've got a lot of acknowledgement at the end, the sweepstake winners, and Iain was certainly not.
The problem with my gambling skills is I just bet on the people I like and want to win rather than actually looking at it properly.
Very emotional.
I'm connected to the events, Mark.
I see.
JT was god awful, terrible.
Yeah, for me it was again. Rory was obviously disappointed, but Max Homa, I mean, he doesn't know how to play in a major. He's a top 5 player in the world if it's not a major, but this is a course where he holds the course record.
I know.
And that was the McIlroy Portrush. You have a course record holder there. You're going to miss the cut job. That was probably the safest bet at the tournament, actually.
Probably.
Well, I've got one again. Probably not the most kind of disappointing, but just an acknowledgement again of another elder statesman. But Mickelson comfortably sitting 1 under after the first round, and then in a 5-hole stretch manages to miss the cut by 1. Had an absolute nightmare. I mentioned it the last time we recorded, but I do think Phil's got something there still, and he's still competitive, much to the same way Padraig Harrington. I do like the older boys for holding their own. So I thought the way Phil imploded on his back 9, I thought was pretty poor. Okay, shot of the week.
For me, it was probably, I don't know if you saw it, but Cameron Young hit a driver into the golf ball holder of a golf.
I did see that. Yeah. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
Iain, do you recall any golf shots?
I'm trying to remember.
Well, while you're thinking, I'll give you a wee second. I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if anybody saw it on Sunday, but Wyndham Clark on the 4th hole. Anybody else noticed the way that he just casually just kind of dragged the ball across the tee after didn't pick it up, didn't quite like where he was positioned, casually, as your average amateur golfer might do, casually just sweeps it across the tee, lines up, and plays a beautiful kind of 6-iron high fade to about 4 feet for 233 yards. I just thought, yeah, hats off there. And at the same effort, Ricky Fowler had an absolute shocker right behind him.
He was pretty special. He also played an unreal flop shot from a tight lie on the front 9, I think, it was special.
It was the blasé nature of what he did for me that won it. Shot of the week for me. Come on, Iain, what you got?
I really don't have one. The only thing I can really say is the shot that really impressed me, which was Wyndham's first tee shot.
Is that because after that you went in your bed?
I've only seen a few more after it, but it kind of it really impressed me. I thought it showed a lot of nerve. You know, if you're ever going to be nervous, that was a situation to do it, or you were going to bottle it straight off the park. Or, you know, aye, that was probably. I think that settled him and put him in such a good position to then move forward. And it's probably the only shot I can remember watching.
Did you say it, Mark? Have I just fell asleep there for 10 seconds? Have you been?
Yeah, I said Cameron Young.
Oh, you did. That's right. Forgot about it.
Right. Was that memorable? Was it?
It was only because I couldn't record. Oh no, it was in the car. Sorry, apologies. I should get with the program. Best hole. I'm gonna go drivable 6th. Love the way you could go. I know people are gonna say, do you know what? The stats actually showed, I think, on the Sunday that laying up and playing safe on the left actually wasn't the play in terms of scoring average. So I quite like that. A bit different, looked like a bit blind. I'd probably hate it if I was standing there, just for the fact that it was quite memorable. I like risk reward par 4s.
The 15th for me, the short par 3, just good hole. Even though you got hole in ones galore there, but it was still nice to see them play under 100 yards in a major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any holes, Ian? You stay up late enough?
15 again. I think
first hole every time.
Practice area was looking good. No, 15 par 3 definitely. I think the variety of pin positions and length that they could play at, and you know, it's probably the kind of hole you would stand there all day and you would not get bored hitting balls.
Yeah.
Watching pros teeing up on an 81-yard hole and trying to hit a green, it was entertaining.
Right. And from the best hole to the worst hole?
Fucking 7.
Is that a unanimous agreement? I do have another one though, which is the 5th, because that was the hole where even if you found the centre of the fairway, it was running that flipping ridiculous left to right that within 2 foot of coming off that fairway, you were in absolute nonsense rough. I mean,
just and so many divots if you stayed on the fairway.
Like what?
Yeah, that was
that hole was not a fan of that. 5th and the 7th, I think, were for stinky for different reasons.
Yeah, I'll not be bringing my sports jacket post 6 p.m. to LA Country Club. That invite is not getting up.
Right. Okay. Mark, what about you? Did you say?
I would agree with both those. Probably more the 7th, the long par 3.
Right. I'm going to wrap this up. This is the final question of the day. Is LA the most overhyped city in the world? Personally, couldn't think of anything worse than living there.
If it's anything like its rules and its country clubs, then yes.
Considering how much I hate traffic, I would agree.
Oh man.
This is the exact segment we would need Poods on here, because this would be an excellent blast.
It would have been a well-measured rant about everything that was wrong with the infrastructure of LA and its retail and property prices. Yeah, no thanks. You could offer me any number of opportunities to move there and I would turn them down every single time.
Anti-LA, so we're looking forward to going back in 92 years' time, or however far it's the PG of certain.
They have it booked, don't they? In
2037, is it? Through
2037. Wow.
Don't even know how old I'll be then. Can't even do the maths on that.
About 90.
64, no, 54. Goodness me, it's getting late. Right, guys, well, I'm going to have one last kind of acknowledgement to our rounds sweepstake winners. Congratulations to Patterson's Players, who won a 3-hour studio hire for him and 5 friends. And
name and shame.
A runner-up, HMFC 98, who claimed second prize, which is a 45-minute lesson with Mark. I don't know if Mark knows that, but that's what we put out there.
Fine, that's good.
So yeah, we have put a note out on our Facebook page, so please get in touch. We'll get that sorted out for you. We did have our own little internal sweepstakes as well, if anybody's interested. Iain, how did you get on?
I don't know. I've never seen the final results. However,
so you were...
I knew I was struggling.
Comfortably in last. Robert came first, and I think I came second.
There you go, yeah. So there was 12 of us.
It wasn't just the 3 of us, yeah.
No, there was 12 of us. It was first and second for Stoddart and Sadler, and Stoddart I was rank last.
I did see. I was thinking about what a cumulative plus 60 over or something.
Yeah, you weren't good. Anyway, that is all for the Rounds Golf US Open post-mortem. Gents, anything else to add before we sign off?
No.
Excellent. Well, on that note, I
That was a
thank you all
bombshell.
and bid you all a fond farewell, and we will see you next time.
Au revoir.